I've seen my fair share of messed up or very disturbing movies, but now as a 33-year-old parent, if I'm going to watch something that is really messed up, I need it to be worth more than just the sheer shock value. If I'm going to put myself through hell and walk away with some trauma from a film, it's got to be worth it. So here are 5 films that go beyond just being disturbing and have merit in other aspects, making the movies I think you should see at least once. First on the list is Snowtown. Snowtown is a 2011 Australian biographical crime drama directed by Justin Kurzel in his directorial debut, and it's based on the true story of the infamous Snowtown murders here in Australia. The IMDb logline reads, 16-year-old Jamie falls in with his mother's new boyfriend and his crowd of self-appointed neighborhood watchmen, a relationship that leads to a spree of torture and murder. I'm not going to lie to you, Snowtown is truly harrowing, but it is worth the watch because it is shot so beautifully. I was blown away when I saw it in the cinema right from the opening shot. The way that it captures the town and the people, it's just expertly done and well worth sitting through. The visual aspects alone make this worthwhile, but also the performances from actors, but mostly non-actors. I researched this and found that only 3 actors in Snowtown are actually professionals, and the rest are all real locals from around the area, which just adds this raw authenticity to the movie, which makes it even more eerie. But I just think such a good choice for depicting real, true life events by grabbing the people who actually live in that town. Snowtown really shines in its ability to tell a story of corruption and manipulation of vulnerable people in our society. The film is truly harrowing. We have some really, really intense scenes that are very hard to sit through, but I think the message is so clear here, and it's really important to tell these true stories. Lightening the mood ever so slightly here with a very unique and quite absurd early film by the now very popular Yorgos Lanthimos. Dogtooth is a Greek language film released in 2009 and tells the story of a controlling, manipulative father who locks his 3 adult offspring in a state of perpetual childhood by keeping them prisoner within the sprawling family compound. If you are familiar with Yorgos Lanthimos' work, then this film won't seem like the very strange movie that it is because you will be very familiar with his tone and the absurd nature of his stories. Dogtooth really hits on every note that we have come to expect from this amazing director, but I think it's his best work and his most underrated too. It's worth sitting through the disturbing moments in Dogtooth to see this early entry from a filmmaker who has just gone from strength to strength. It's also quite low budget, so it's interesting to see how he dealt with those constraints, and I think he did such a good job. The film is disturbing. Its cruelty is very psychological. And in essence, it's abuse. And this for me was seen as a metaphor for the family unit and how to an extent parents can just tell their children what they believe to be true in order to control or have them abide by certain rules. This can be done in a positive way to keep your children safe, but it can also be done in a way that is so detrimental. It's an absolute must-watch if you enjoy Yorgos Lanthimos' other films, and I think that it's well worth sitting through themes that are very, very disturbing, but in a different way to all of the other films on this list. If you haven't seen Kids, what are you doing? And if you haven't seen Kids in a while, it's definitely worth a revisit as an adult because I'd kind of put it in a box of something you watch when you are a teenager, and the nature of the story only appeals to like a young person that might be going through something similar, but it's totally not like that at all. Watching it as an adult, it still resonates and feels like the punch in the gut that it did when I was a teenager. If you're unfamiliar, Kids was released in 1995 and was directed by Larry Clark and written by the brilliant and weird Harmony Korine, who went on to be a director himself. The IMDb logline reads, Kids follows a day in the life of a group of teens as they travel around New York City, skating, drinking, smoking, and deflowering virgins. This plotline sounds quite juvenile, and it is, but it's meant to be. And it all serves the greater purpose of the film, which I think is a cautionary tale. It's a wake-up call for young people. I saw this as a teenager and found it extremely disturbing. I could not take my eyes off the screen and watching everything unfold. It wasn't exactly what I was expecting to happen, and it really stuck with me. It basically scared the shit out of me and made me realize that one decision can just change everything in your life. In my opinion, Kids doesn't really glamorize anything either. It doesn't make you want to go out and necessarily do those things because it shows you the shocking aftermath of that type of reckless behavior. It's also important in the careers that it's spearheaded. You will see people in their younger years in this and, recognize them and think like, oh, wow, that's maybe where you got your start. And I always find that interesting when you go back and watch films and remind yourself of that or you discover it. Next up on the list is The Nightingale. This is hands down the most disturbing film on the list, so be warned. This one left me completely numb when I walked out of the cinema, but it's phenomenal and it's also very important. The Nightingale is an Australian period drama directed by Jennifer Kent, who also directed The Babadook, which was very well received, and I would love to see something else from Jennifer Kent soon. The Nightingale is set in 1825. Claire, a young Irish convict woman, chases a British officer through the rugged Tasmanian wilderness, bent on revenge for a terrible act of violence he committed against her family. On the way, she enlists the services of an Aboriginal tracker named Billy, who is also marked by trauma from his own violence-filled past. In my opinion, this movie is wildly overlooked, just like a lot of Australian cinema is. I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it again, especially since becoming a mother, but I do think that it is worth every kind of vomit-inducing, gut-wrenching feeling that you have literally throughout the entire movie. It just does not let up. You will feel so exhausted afterwards. But like I said, it has a greater purpose and message. And it's a topic here in Australia that people probably want to shy away from. It doesn't pull any punches. It really lays it all out for you. It's very confronting. And I think because of that, not a lot of people wanted to see it or talk about it. Last on the list here is This Is England. Probably the most unexpected movie on this list. I don't think this is a film that would make it onto any sort of disturbing movie list because generally the whole movie isn't. It's just the final scene that really rocked me and I found difficult to sit through. This Is England, directed by Shane Meadows and released in 2006, follows a young boy who becomes friends with a gang of skinheads. Friends soon become like family and relationships are pushed to the very limit. I think Shane Meadows was able to capture a snapshot of England in a difficult time politically, and unfortunately our current landscape feels just as dire as the themes and tensions explored in this brilliantly raw and quite gut-wrenching portrayal of a nation divided. The tension builds appropriately and the characters are fleshed out so well. You feel very intimately involved with them, which just makes the impact of the later events even more, harrowing. It doesn't feel like anything in the movie is happening for sheer shock value. And that's why I have included it, because I'm all for sitting through something that is difficult to watch. I'm not going to walk away feeling great. I'm going to be possibly having nightmares or it's going to stick with me. But I want it to be for something. And I think that cinema is a place where you can explore things that we might ignore or not want to talk about or think about. And all of these films shine a light on, like I said, the cruelty of humanity, what we do to each other, family dynamics, all of those kind of things. So there you go, guys. Those are my top 5 most disturbing movies worth the trauma. Let me know if you've seen any of them. And if you have any recommendations for films that are, edgy, difficult to watch, shocking, but it's worth it.